Alright, we're going back into Waterdeep. We're going to push water deeper. We've done Street War, Wisdom Check, Force Grey Unleashed. So the next one on my list is the Gargoyle's Apprentice. Where is it? There, down here. Alright. 150. 150. Oh. Oh, because Minsk is back. Oh, we can pull him out. He's done. He did his job back there. We need to go set up a new background party now as well. Ushi Akira. We'll come back to this. We're back on the break. Wow. We've been commenting on your fans for months. Well, it's not, but I didn't. There's, you know. The fans aren't what got us to this. I'm trying to just click through 150 areas. That's the ideal situation. If we can make that happen. There we go. All right. I've missed a bunch of streams lately. Welcome back. What finally made you say there was actually an issue? The other day we were... What were we doing? I don't even really remember. It was on stream. Somebody remind me. I don't know. We were doing something, and then so I started pulling up the software. I definitely was playing Idle Champions, yes. I don't know. We got to we were talking about my computer and stuff, and I pulled up hardware info to get temperatures. I think is how this started. I'd have to go back and watch the VOD. And Hercwork was in here, and Hercwork does like computer stuff, IT, I think, or he manages lots of. They manage lots of stuff, and so we just started troubleshooting everything and figured out. I had a couple clients open for sure. And it was more that the temperatures were way not okay. I think a lot of people were like, "Oh no, that's not normal." And then so started digging into all kinds of things and running all kinds of tests. And for a second, I thought like I was hitting like I was getting thermal throttling on my CPU, which is not good, right? And it sounded like almost at the times when we would get the crackle, that it was seemed to be when it was throttling at first. So it was kind of like, oh, is the crackle heat related? But then we just started testing stuff, and because the temperatures were so high, ultimately they were like, yeah, just call in your warranty. And so I called Origin. I'm like, this is what's going on. And I spent like an hour and a half on the phone with them, running all kinds of tests, and they couldn't really figure out exactly what the problem was. And they were like, you know, there's some people around tomorrow that might have some more ideas of how to figure out exactly what the problem is, because they weren't sure, because it was so odd, right? From their perspective, they're like, everything should be hooked up right, but we were having some issues with in Commander, like in IQ, the cooling thing was disappearing, coming back, disappearing, coming back. I figured, and they were like, what? And they were like, restart, reinstall IQ, and if that doesn't work, reinstall Windows. And I'm like, I'm not reinstalling Windows. No way. So I reinstalled IQ, and when I reinstalled IQ, and I restarted my computer after, well, I had to do a full uninstall. So to do the full uninstall, I mean, they gave me all these instructions on how to delete all of the files, find them all, and when I did that and restarted, there was nothing controlling. Like just the BIOS was controlling stuff, but nothing was really controlling the pump. And so I started getting heat warnings, like CPU heat warnings on startup. Wouldn't let me start the computer without going into BIOS and making changes. And finally got, after a few times, like letting it sit for a while and cool off completely, and then trying again, and I got everything back in and running. And then I started trying to troubleshoot, like, what the hell, like, what is going on? And that's when I figured out they never set up in the software, they never set up that my pump was a pump and not just a fan. So my pump has been not pumping appropriately for 2 years, which is why my fans were working so hard, because they were doing almost all the work. But I was kind of used to fans having to do lots of work, because that's the way my old computers work. Unless I had like a mega large fan that was slower, I was used to it kind of being loud. So I never thought anything was wrong. Apparently it was horribly wrong. So it wasn't necessarily that the fans were loud that started this. It was that the temperatures were too high. Because I was like, well, if the fans are loud, they're keeping the computer cool, right? Right? No, they weren't able to, because the liquid cooling wasn't working. Wasn't really a downward spiral. Yeah, it's just that I guess there wasn't. I didn't really have the understanding of what could potentially even be going wrong. Because to me, everything looked like it was fine, and it wasn't really until I figured out that when I reinstalled IQ, that the fan had never been hooked up, or that the pump had never been designated. The second I designated that pump, I heard it pumping liquid. I heard it like gurgle and pump. And I went around and I looked, and that's when I realized, oh God, yeah, that liquid in there is toast. As toast as it is, it's still, we're like 20 degrees, 15 to 20 degrees lower in temperatures today than we were on Wednesday. Yeah, I mean, if we crackle today, let me know. Just once. I just need to know once if we crackle today. Oh, there's a radar screen? No, I call that Mr. Coffee. Yeah, moving bad liquid better than moving no liquid. I don't know. Here's what I will say. The computer itself is solid. Obviously, whoever assembled it, I feel like they didn't really do their job properly. I wasn't given any real instructions. Like, if they had sent, hey, you need to do this stuff when you get it. like set up this and here's how to do it. And if all that had been done, sure, I wouldn't have a problem. But I mean, they loaded all the software on. So to me, when I got it, I'm like, okay, it should just work right out of the box, right? No. Yeah, they absolutely didn't do it correctly. Absolutely. Well, here's the thing. It's like, did they? This is why I said I don't feel like they did it correctly, because this is that age-old argument of, well, they did it the way they were trained to versus doing it the right way, right? I don't know if they did it the way they were trained to do it, or if they just didn't do it the right way. I don't know, because I don't know how they were trained. And I would have liked to have known that, hey, I would have liked them to have made better decisions about which fans to hook up to the commander, or maybe even reach out to me and go, hey, with the number of fans you've asked to be installed in this computer, because you're taking all the optional fan ports up, we need another controller to run them or something. I'd have been like, yeah, absolutely. Let's throw that in there. Which is something I have to look into. But I'm not doing any of that until after I get the fluid. I just want to make sure that I could change the fluid and that things are gonna be easier. Chat. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like, hey, if you're gonna build this, if you're gonna build my computer, and you're loading up software, it's coming with this software installation. You're going through that trouble. How did you even know that anything was working correctly if you didn't go into IQ and set it up to work? Right? Like, how did you? Why? Like, that means you didn't test it after you built it, and that's a problem, right? So yeah, once I know if this is ultimately the issue and everything works still, I have not ended my conversation with tech support, because I want to make sure all the pieces are still functional, and that when I flush it out in the new fluid, that everything cools down and stays cool, and then we're gonna have a little conversation about lack of expectations being met. Lack of expectations being met. I don't mind, like I don't even remember them telling me, hey, you're going to need to do maintenance on this every few years. I don't remember that either in my paperwork. That would have been something they could have told me too, right? I don't recall that conversation anywhere. Because I don't mind having to do maintenance every now and then. I just need to know that I need to do it. I would have run this computer until that liquid just solidified and not know, because no one ever told me. Yeah, Regina, this is not an all-in-one, is what I've learned. This is a custom, so it's an open loop, so it needs maintenance, because it is not just a GPU cooler. It's a custom. It's not just a CPU cooler. It's a cooler it's a loop that goes through the GPU and the CPU. Because when I was buying it, everything I'd heard about these graphics cards was that they get too hot and they're toast. And I was like, oh God, I'm not spending this much money on something that ends up toast. It's not an all-in-one though. So if I had just gotten a regular air-cooled graphics card, then I could have gotten an all-in-one setup for the GPU, for the CPU. No, all-in-one means it's the whole loop is, this is what was explained yesterday to me, is that the whole loop is just closed. So everything is fully set up with the liquid. I know the name is confusing me too. But it will hook up to the CPU, and it has a pump, and the cables are already run and the liquid is already in it. You do nothing. You just hook it up and turn it on, and then you never have to maintain it at all. But basically, I think the idea with the name is that it has all of the parts in one box, right? It's all connected into one unit, maybe. Whereas mine is a custom. They had to run the hoses to the GPU cooler and then over to the CPU cooler and then back into the pump and you know. So. Do I have a picture? Oh, maybe. Let me see. I don't get all like, ooh, look how pretty my computer is. So I don't know if I have a picture. Let me look. I don't know. Not on my computer? Let me see if I have one on. How would I even find that? I think I may have posted a picture on Twitter at some point in time. Where's mine? Ooh, there's one. How's there. There's a shot at an angle. I think that might be. Oh, here's another one. Yeah, Chaos, that's the all-in-one, right? Whereas mine is just a pump and the coolers and yeah. And then you have to hook all the hoses up. I went with flexible tubing instead of hard tubing as well. Which is making me happy at the moment because I feel like watching people take apart hard tube systems is like, I'm like, oh, that makes me nervous. Flexible looks so much easier. Looks so much easier. Bought a water cooler when I built my PC over 10 years ago, then it didn't fit in the case. Man, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I never really did my own. Was I was like there weren't all the like online tutorials there are nowadays, because I'm talking like over a decade ago when I would have wanted to do it. So yeah, I went for purples. Unfortunately, that was like a purple fluid, and I shouldn't say unfortunately, because it's almost fortunate, because that's how I know it's messed up. That's how I know it's so messed up now. That's how I know it's bad, is because, yeah. So I'm when I'm flushing it, I'm refilling it with clear, and then the colors will. Right now, I have the colors set. What is the colors at the moment? Oh, it's a little yellow at the moment. Yeah. It's a little warmer at the moment, but I have it set just to kind of tell me the temperature. But now I'm like, why is it warm now? Like it hasn't fully cooled off from when I ran that earlier. But it considers itself still in a good temperature, I guess. I'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, you know, for now, no running massively difficult. No 3D games. No running like tons of clients at once, like I did anyway. Even though I did it and it worked. Not doing that for a while. Not doing that for a while. All right, Gargoyle's Apprentice. I realized as we got towards the end there that I forgot to pop a speed potion for that. Whoopsie.